Hi, I'm Dan, and 6 months ago, I lost my ability to see. One moment, my car was skidding on black ice. The next, I was in a hospital, and my world had gone dark. My girlfriend of 5 years once promised me that she'd stay with me no matter what. I was on my way to our 5th year anniversary when it happened. So when I got out of the hospital, the first person I wanted to see, ironic pun very much intended, was Haley. My dad put his hand on my shoulder. All right, we're in the backyard now. Haley's here. I'll wheel you up next to her on the bench, okay? Okay, Dad, thanks, I said, putting my hand on his to tell him I'll be good on my own. I heard his footsteps on the lawn disappear as Haley's sniffling got louder. I waved my hands in front of me, trying to find her. Some help here? I said with a grin in a lame attempt at lightening the situation. Haley took my hand. If her sobs and sniffs weren't enough evidence that she was definitely crying, the tears that fell on her clasped hands definitely told me she was. I bent to kiss her hand and said, Hey, I know, but at least I'm still here. I'm sorry, I know you must have been so scared. Me? Came Haley's trembling voice. Don't worry about me. I can't believe you're this calm about this. You're blind, Dan. Like, how is that okay? If I had an answer to that, it would take us all day talking about it. I'd overanalyze my psyche and you'd fall asleep before I'd arrived at a satisfactory conclusion. I chuckled to diffuse the tension. Look, stuff happens, yeah? Just happened to me this time. I'm not angry at anything or at myself. I just have to accept it. Haley got up and bent over my wheelchair. She sobbed into my shoulder, and I could feel her lips trembling through my shirt as the warmth of her tears soaked my clothes. I felt around for her hair and stroked it. Shh. Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay, I whispered. It will be, Haley agreed. But if it isn't, in case it isn't, you don't have to stay. You know that, right? I said. Haley suddenly pulled away. Wait, what? She sputtered. I don't have to stay? What are you talking about? Of course, I'm gonna stay. What, so now you're blind and I'm suddenly just gonna dump you? What kind of girl do you think I am, Daniel? She huffed and puffed and I heard her stomping away. I'm just being realistic, I called after her before she slammed the gate that separated our and her family's backyards. We made up after that week. I'd promised her I wanted to make up for the anniversary dinner we missed. So I had my best friend Liam drive us to a nice restaurant. When we got there, the guy who manned reception asked us, Do you have a reservation? I said, Yeah, actually, it should be under Daniel Madsen. Ah, yes, said the man. You asked for a table outside? Just didn't want to be in people's ways. Blind. See? I waved my hand in front of my face. So, yeah, if we could be seated somewhere relatively low traffic, that'd be fantastic. Oh, and could you set up a seat for my friend here as well? He's unfortunate enough to be my eyes tonight. Unfortunately, I think we double-booked your reservation, Mr. Madsen. So, the only seats available are inside. But everything else we can accommodate you with. The tables outside are about an hour or two of waiting time, said the receptionist. Ugh! I'm not gonna wait at the bar for an hour. Well, I said, turning toward the direction of Haley's voice. We can eat elsewhere, I guess. No, we're already here, said Haley. And besides, I've been excited about this place since you told me about it. I want to stay. We'll just figure it out, okay? The seats won't be so bad. I dressed up nice for this. You don't want my dress to go to waste, do you? I sighed and asked Liam, How pretty does she look in her dress? Very pretty, said Liam. And so, we made our way into the restaurant. You know that feeling you get when you know someone's watching you, even if you can't see them? Yeah, I felt like that. Now, I could never be sure if people actually were watching the blind guy fumbling through the tables, but I heard some people stop mid-conversation, and Haley apologizing under her breath as she guided me to our chairs. I could tell she was flustered. So I suggested again. We can go find someplace else where I won't be too much of a bother. What are you saying, Dan? You're not a bother. Oh! A shrill cry and a sharp intake of breath cut Haley off. I turned, swiveling my head towards the sound. Sorry, was that me? I said. Careful with that stick, a lady's voice said. You're gonna poke someone's eyes out. Sorry, ma'am. He's newly blind, said Haley, laughing awkwardly. He's still learning how to navigate and stuff. Apologies. When we finally got seated, I felt like Haley's mood had changed. She barely spoke a word to me. She mostly chatted with Liam as we waited for our food. And as we ate, she kept silent. At one point, they both left the table to go to the restroom, so I just continued to have the meal by myself. At the end of the meal, she asked Liam to place a glass in my hand. We have to cheer to 5 years, babe, she said. Her spirits were now back to normal, so I was glad about that. I'm down, I said. Just say when. Now, she said. To 5 years. To 5 years, I said, leaning over to her side of the table and pushing my glass in the air to meet hers. I heard a soft clink, and then my glass slid past hers. The next sound I heard was a shriek from my girlfriend. Oh my God! She screamed. By the sound of it, she was trying desperately to wipe something from her dress. Dude, you spilled it all over her, said Liam. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, I said frantically. And when there were no replies... Babe? She left, bro, said Liam. I didn't want to leave the house after that. It just made me feel like an idiot. Like, I didn't know the world around me anymore. I knew she'd be embarrassed about taking me places, so when we did patch things up, I only took her to private places I knew. Mostly, we hung out in my room. Sometimes Liam would be with us just so I don't accidentally hurt myself. Or her if I trip or something. We were still working on getting a service dog. So I was really thankful Liam was such a helpful friend. One day, Haley convinced me to take her to this one part of town we always used to go. It was a clearing in the woods that overlooked the whole town. At night, the stars were absolutely beautiful there. I didn't want to bother Liam with driving all the way, but she insisted, so we finally did. Haley sat beside my wheelchair and took my hand when we finally got there. We chatted and shared the usual mundane stories we used to have sharing in that clearing. It was as if nothing had changed. We sat there for a while, and I knew Haley was looking at the stars. In my head, I imagined I could see it too. Then she sighed. I don't think I can do this anymore, she said. I know, I replied. It's just, you can't really do much now. And it's really embarrassing taking you out. I always have to keep an eye on you, and Liam always has to do everything for you and stuff, and like, you can't even take me out anymore. And I feel like I can't take you anywhere with me either. I just don't think I can have this kind of life, said Haley. I took a deep breath before answering her. It hurt. Of course it hurt. But I knew nobody deserved to stay in a relationship that they didn't find themselves happy in anymore. I just couldn't accept how much she was ashamed of me. What did you expect, Haley? I told her. I'm blind. Of course I'd bump into things and spill stuff. Of course I'd need someone's help. At least for a while. While I'm getting used to walking around in the darkness. Try walking around with your eyes closed for a minute or two. You can go, of course. You can go. If you just left when I said you could, it would have saved both of us a bunch of time, and don't pretend like you don't enjoy hanging around when Liam's here. I'm blind, not deaf. I can still hear you when you whisper to meet each other in secret. Liam choked on whatever he was drinking. Haley simply poured her drink on my lap and said, Good riddance, then. Before I could say anything back, I heard the sounds of Liam and Haley's lips meeting. It was an awkward car ride back. But when I got home, I promised myself to stop trying to put other people first. That very night, I wrote music again. I wanted to be back on track again. It was time to get back to the music career I'd put on hold to support Haley in her dreams for 5 years. I wrote track after track, pouring my emotions out and detailing how losing my sight has given me more perspective than I've ever had. And when I finally got a guide dog, we went around town and performed the songs I wrote. My dog's name is Cooper. He's a 4-year-old golden retriever who always wears a blue bandana around his neck. Whenever my dad took us out to perform my songs, he would notice something Cooper did. When I would start playing the guitar, Dad said Cooper would look somewhat like he was dancing. He would run around me and move his legs to the music. Sometimes he would even jump around, said Dad. I took it as just my guide dog being the weird character that he was. That's what bonded me to him in the first place. The unbelievable part is that Cooper's antics landed me a recording contract. Some guy apparently posted a video of us during one of our performances, and the cute factor made us both go viral. That got my music noticed, and a talent scout called me up one day saying his label wanted to hear my demos. A couple months later, and here I am, already signing autographs for strangers I can't even see. It's been a wild ride, and I guess it's all thanks to Haley for dumping me, and to Liam for being a terrible friend. Indirectly, they made me believe in myself. They made me go back to the dream I always knew I wanted to reach for. And because of the pain they caused me, I can now listen to my own songs on the radio. The funny thing is, Haley called me up the other day, and I could hear it in her voice that she only wanted to get back together because I'm famous now. I'm not dumb. There's no way I'd get back with her. I shouldn't. Right?